And it's quick art talk time, episode 31. Yeah, we reached the 30s. When I said episode 30, previous episode, it kind of felt weird because most of the time it has like two syllables. So now 31, 32, it will be like, it will have that nice melody to it, I guess. All right. Today we are going to go through another painting process. This is again correlated and connected to the digital painting class, which I co-run with Darek Zabrodsky. But this time we are here covering something more advanced. And yeah, there you go. This belongs to early content. Somewhere we covered this kind of content during the beginning, perhaps during the middle of the term, where we are studying movie stills. We are going here specifically through a movie still from Game of Thrones. Are there any Game of Thrones fans? Who doesn't like Game of Thrones? If you haven't seen it yet, I really recommend you to watch it. The books especially are super amazing. And if I have to personally say something about the whole universe when it comes to the TV show, I think up to season 4, it's really good. One of the best TV shows ever made. Season 5, 6 is like and then 7, 8 are, it doesn't float my boat, but you know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Please keep in mind, of course, as always, that everything that we share here during these quick art talk times or any YouTube videos we upload is separate from our advanced focal point school teachings. However, as always, you guessed it, we want to give you another nice, sort of a guideline, tips to make your concept art and illustration journey slightly easier and smoother. Perhaps you're interested in our school or you already joined it and you are watching this as a complementary content, right? Teaching design is extremely hard. That's why we have the school, we have a physical faculty to really dive deep and really improve in a span of 6 to 8 weeks. And yeah, the results are always amazing. Anyway, let's dive into this one. Since we got some feedback from the previous episode, it appears that you guys like the slightly longer format, so like up to 30 minutes. And that's why I am repeating this one. So the first 10 minutes of this one is real time. Yeah, so what you're seeing right now taking place is done in real time, right? So it might give you a nice insight of the process. Of course, everything that has been done here is of course backed up in theory in previous weeks. We build it up and we start with something more complex like this movie still. Here we are still not designing anything. As you can see, it's a pretty much a faithful movie study. However, the complexity increased incrementally. I remember that in episode 29 we were painting insects. Episode 30 was painting a landscape. So, you know, that was a topic that was more connected to everyday life, since our tolerance level of landscapes is pretty low. We can spot mistakes very fast. And then when it comes to interiors, well, I personally find interiors extremely challenging. If you want to have the best interiors in the industry done in a very, very energetic way, then yeah, look no further, because Darek Zabrodsky is also part of, you know, co-running this class with me, and he really nails it, right? He has extensive industry experience for movies and video games to nail interiors in a pretty efficient, energetic, and unique way. Well, we learn from each other, and that's why I'm here also trying to really do my best. It was, of course, this one was of course done as a live demo that I did for the students. But yeah, you can see me even here in the first couple of minutes laying down the perspective, because, well, the challenges of an interior are now different than we were painting just a landscape. Right now we have man-made structures The scene is taking place inside of a building rather than outside with a lot of organic rocks and mountains where you don't need to be so strict about perspective, as long as you play with the values correctly and your shape complexity. Again, all these keywords really deserve their own lecture. However, in this kind of setting, in an interior setting, we really have to watch out for our perspective. Hence, I am, in a very also classic way, I am laying down a very simple perspective grid, actually only on one dimension, right? So you don't see the perspective grid taking place. I'm not even establishing a horizon line, right? This is the advanced class. So we have already gained the extensive knowledge how to see perspective and work with it in a very efficient way. So we are using here the perspective grid on the most aggressive angle, which is like that. You see those lines that are going really towards the horizon line point. So there's only one aggressive dimension. From top to bottom, those lines are pretty straight on. And then the horizontal lines, it's pretty much, this whole composition is more of a side view, not a three-fourth view. Therefore, I can get away with just primarily focusing on one perspective, if that makes sense. It's kind of sometimes hard to explain quickly in a video. So yeah, the 6 minutes is already. We have 4 minutes left until we go to 6 times the speed, I believe. This whole painting took me, I believe, slightly more than 2 hours. And yeah, this one is also from 4 or 5 years ago. So we are really right now going and digging through our content that we have never shared and really putting it out there for the community, right? I believe that, well, if you like this, then I hope that we became even better with our updated content and updated methods of channeling knowledge. We seek that to become better and better every single term. So yeah, blocking in here the depth. You can see again that I use this sepia undertone. I really enjoy it during the digital painting classes because it gives a nice traditional feeling with a lot of vibrancy and colors. And of course you have to utilize it while understanding materials and how light works, how light breaks down in shaded parts, how light reacts in where the materials are being hit directly by the light. Because you will see me introducing colors, like here this purple, for example, around the windows, that you don't necessarily see so profoundly on the reference image. Again, so just like in episode 30, when we were going through that landscape, we are definitely already always, to a certain degree, activating our designer's mind. And remember, design is not only limited to shapes and coming up with new forms and new kind of ideas when it comes to its shape. It is also reinterpreting light and materials, playing with color. That all can be its own art direction for a certain project. To give you a good example, when you look at very well-known established IPs, for example, when you play Skyrim versus The Witcher 3, both of them have forests, both of them have mountains and very grounded landscapes. However, the reinterpretation of a forest and mountains in Skyrim does feel completely different than when I walk a forest in The Witcher. I don't want to get into details what the difference exactly are, because I want to cover also other points here. Because, yeah, look at the time, right? We are already at the 10th minute. And so you will see very soon a drastic change in the speed, because we're going from real time to 6 times the speed, right? So this scene in particular, I think, is taking place somewhere in season 3 or 4. I don't remember. And this is, Queen Daenerys sitting on her throne in Meereen. and she is engaged, or she's having a council with one of the slave masters, I believe. She's surrounded by their most loyal guards. The woman that kind of stands in the middle in the blue suit is the translator, and I think also her consultant, because she is from that region. And so I think it was a very nice composition for it to tell a nice story. You can see that she is sitting very stern, very powerful, asserting dominance, but yet, maybe because I know the content and I know the scene by heart, but from this content and this image alone, I can see like that she is also trying to understand and to listen, which again is a nice feature of every good leader, right? I think that is what she really tried to do. Spoilers alert, right? I will not spoil much more, just for the intention of enriching you guys with the intention of this scene. Other than that, here I'm already blocking in the light. So also what is very unique to interiors is the lighting scenario, right? So we will go over the lighting scenario later. We're blocking here. I'm trying to see what else can I mention. Yeah, so you see this haze coming in from the reference. There is like this dust particles, so we really want to bump up the atmosphere and the depth by introducing here some, haze coming in. So the light is basically zipping and penetrating the little dust specks, and yeah, again, that really also deserves, we lecture on that also profoundly, how light can work and manifest itself in a certain environment. So here with a soft brush, I'm really blocking in that depth. So these sun rays are really nicely and profoundly shown. All right. It's very cool. I like in cinema, they are of course as well exaggerating lighting. So probably this is not the real sun coming through. So be aware of that. That in Hollywood they like use like a lot of fake suns and lamps to enhance the scene. So probably someone is standing there with a very, very harsh lamp behind this whole set, right? And the set itself is probably made out of like like the very kind of cheap materials, and then they paint like a stone texture on top of it. So it's like set dressing in real life. All right. So yeah. And so we reached we are beyond 10 minutes. And this is already the secondary phase, right? I really believe here that we were more or less successful with blocking in the spine and the structure, something that we also really go deeply about, because, well, it is super important to assert your own control on your own terms when you are able to do it. Often in the industry, and I talk about it with Darek as well, because he has more experience with it, right? So if you look at his works, all his commercial works, of course, for efficiency's sake, you will use, elements from the real world. So you might include photo bashing techniques, 3D techniques to really emphasize on the fidelity, the realistic aspect. You are becoming more accurate. However, in this advanced digital painting exercise, we are still relying on our core foundation without utilizing any 3D, any photos, because the intention of this exercise is really to assert full control and to train our mind and our whole skill forging system, so to speak, to build confidence in being able to tackle everything, right? And I think that if you have also gone through some of our episodes, we really try to showcase the versatility within our works and the way we teach, from drawing insects in line art, from drawing architecture in line art, to executing them with a render style. Of course, in class we are as well covering photo bashing techniques, 3D techniques. So you really build a vast horizon and variety in being able to output your ideas on many, many levels. And yeah, what can I say? Again, an exercise like this really forges to widen our scope, right? So instead of only drawing insects all the time, even though, for example, we covered regarding, making a series, staying consistent within a topic, it is good to switch out the topic so you still rely on the same fundamentals, but certain aspects become more harder. There are different sets of challenges that you have to go through when you switch up the themes. But a strong foundation will allow you to switch efficiently and with a lot of confidence. So that is something that is very much used in the industry. Like when clients really notice that you are able to switch your style, your theme, your genre, you're becoming an extremely valuable asset or co-worker, right? So very important to remember, because we often forget what good concept art stands for. It is more than just to draw and paint well. We have to design well. We have to capture the essence of the real world, like I'm doing here with this painting. I'm capturing the essence of this scene. I'm trying to stay very faithful to the whole mood, and I'm even keeping the pillars the same, the interior design I'm keeping the same, but you do see me again, I'm not fully copying everything one-on-one. I'm making the scale slightly larger. The whole interior is slightly more, the scale factor of that hall is increased, the throne room. The characters are on a smaller scale. The perspective is slightly more exaggerated. And I'm also reinterpreting and shifting with a little bit of the colors, right? So yeah, here you can see the real-time timer. Now, that's a little bit unprofessional for me to hide it. Oh well. Speaking about versatility, you can see how there is another spaceship design from the hardware design class that is just there on the background for no apparent reason. Don't know what's doing there. But again, it proves the point that we are on fire, right? Like when we're running our term with Darek, and now we have also an array of new instructors. It's amazing that that we see our students improving, but yeah, we can also conclude that we ourselves are also improving, right? Because when you channel knowledge to people, it also gets kind of better formulated in my own head, and that in return also, I believe, makes me a better teacher, right? Which I never thought that I will enjoy that much. To be quite honest, if I didn't receive the feedback of people, then and that goes as well for Darek, we would never have set up the school, I think. So it's really we were receiving a lot of feedback that we should do more workshops or teach, and then it became kind of a natural thing to start the first concept art school in Europe. And proud to say that we have a lot of people that are already working in the industry. Anyway, let's not go too much off topic. Let's go here through some pointers. We have it's the 19th minute, the 18th minute. We are reaching the 19-minute mark here. We talked about the technical aspect during the first 10 minutes. We talked a little bit about the other things like the structure, the kind of on the rudimentary level. I explained what the unique challenges are of interior settings. Let's talk about the aspect of layered knowledge, because again, this topic was chosen because a lot of topics are kind of compressed into one painting, and of course on a week-by-week basis through lectures and practical exercises, we teach our students to handle sometimes topics one by one. But with an exercise like this, we have a little bit of characters, we have a little bit of heavy perspective, we have a little bit of material definition when it comes to that stone material that lighting scenario. So, and of course that composition. So the knowledge here is multifaceted. Again, you cannot just say, oh, it's just an interior, right? There is a lot of things to take care of. The complexity between details. So for example, I like how these, I really don't know how you call them in English, but these things that are hanging from the ceiling, the ones that are carrying the candles, they are carrying a profound amount of complexity while the rest of the hall is kind of simplistic. That in return creates a very nice contrast and introduces a beautiful balance between the simple shapes and the complex shapes. I also believe that the story aspect of this image is really enhanced by the characters to such a degree that the characters are not complementary anymore. Like if I imagine this scene without the characters and only the hall, it would look quite boring. I would have to make this hall from a different perspective to make this more interesting. And so you can see that the camera panning and where the camera is situated really can impact the story aspect, right? So here the characters are definitely the drive of the force within this painting. And yeah, everything that I just said in a brief way really is something that we go on deeply. And also we can help our students the best way when we see this kind of work from them in return during the feedback session. So yeah, there's something, it's always great to see them improve week by week. The most satisfying feeling, I would say, when it comes to my whole career, both in teaching and then of course working for clients commercially. So yeah, here I'm doing these chandelier. Is it a chandelier? Yeah, that word just popped in my head. So yeah, these candle carriers. Just using peasant language, it's candle carriers, right? So they're like hanging here from the ceiling, and I'm not very careful in making them super structured and accurate. It's still kind of a sketchy feel in this whole composition, in this whole piece. So, but I am suggesting the detail within them, and then you see how I just blatantly copy and pasted it for efficiency's sake, making use of the making use of the beneficial aspect of digital painting, right? If it was a traditional painting, then you would have to basically paint it twice. So yeah, that's why all the commercial work that I do for clients is definitely done in digital media. But digital media, again, really still gives me the control, ultimate control. So yeah, here you see that I also played around with the scale. I made the queen slightly smaller. And the guy, the king's guard here is, I guess, kind of the closest to the camera, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he is a large guy, right? He's like the guard. That was Sir Barristan Selmy, by the way. I will not spoil further, just his name, And yeah, he was, from what I know, he was like a big guy, right? Quite old, like a veteran, but still badass. And yeah, protecting his queen, It's, yeah. What I remember from this painting is that here also the windows. You see that the shape is quite faithful. However, I made the windows more rectangular to make them kind of more epic is maybe a very cheesy word for it, but it enhances the scale factor, I believe. The windows on the reference images, of course, they're cool, but it feels less like a throne room. When you have these elongated windows, it really makes it feel like these epic Roman cathedrals and stuff. Like they really have these elongated windows as well. Although I believe that the architecture of Marine, where this is taking place, is really derived from ancient Egypt. Right, because she's actually sitting in a pyramid. So yeah. So the struggle here was also the characters. Characters are definitely my weaker spot. I mean, if you are familiar with my work, I I love doing characters, and I did them for clients as well. I'm able to put them out, but yeah, that is my weakest spot for sure. There's so many good artists that do characters, right? So yeah, it's vehicles and hardware for me mainly, and then environments, interiors, and prop design as a secondary. And then here and there, I definitely enjoy doing some characters as well. But yeah, the poses were here hard to do as well. At this point, it really is detailing. I think not much will change. I think I will do some. Sorry, my phone is going off. Gotta silence it down. I see that here I'm really also trying to work and exaggerate the bounce light. So. And yeah, the specifics, right? The specifics on what to watch out for, the unique challenges. Again, I said in the beginning of the video, we will talk about that a little bit more. So, well, again, that really deserves its own lesson and lecture. That's why, this is a part of our lecture program when we're doing movie stills. But what to watch out for when you're doing it on your own, or you're using this as a complementary video to aid your concept art journey, right? Watch out for the aspect of bounce lights within interiors. Outside, when you are covering exteriors, right? So landscapes, like we did in episode 30. The bounce lights are most of the time less severe and less impactful. However, as an experienced concept artist and illustrator, you will notice how you can play and manipulate that on your own terms. Also in exterior lighting. However, in interior lighting, the bounce lights are usually far, far more severe because the amount of direct lighting, in this case the sunlight is hitting through the windows, is limited. A lot of the direct light coming in through the windows is blocked, right? So the room is being filled, the rest of it, the whole hall is being filled by the photons that are directly hitting the surfaces, and then they illuminate basically the rest through bounce light. Again, that is something that we talk about. We have a whole presentation on how to tackle these kinds of aspects when it comes to lighting. In interiors, you have most of the time also multiple direct lighting scenarios, which are sometimes very tricky because it becomes a little bit harder to establish depth. Definitely you can notice that when you are experiencing experiencing it through a lot of paintings. You will see that once there is more than one direct light, like a sun, it becomes very hard or harder, more challenging to, with a lot of sophistication and richness, keep on showing the depth. Now in this example, we still have one solid directional lighting, right? The windows are casting the most light. However, often a lot of interiors, sci-fi interiors, which we also go through, especially in the advanced environment design class with Darek, you might really see how he is playing profoundly on a very high level with light, where you have more than one direct light and still is able to mimic the mood and set the tone of the image in a very profound way. And yeah, the other aspect to watch out for interiors is definitely the perspective. If the perspective is not working well, yeah, you're wasting your time, right? And here I can say that I definitely have some mistakes going on. If you, for example, look at the top right corner, you can see that some of the stones, the seam lines between the pillars are not running perpendicularly with the perspective. I guess for a demo and for faster painting, it is not bad. However, it is always good to be aware of what could have been done better. So again, this piece is not serving as a beautiful portfolio piece, but it rather aids me and aids the students hopefully in forging their overall skill level. And that is something that we want also to forge the mindset on. Often when students come in, they really want to create beautiful artworks, forgetting about the learning aspect. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to just go through and plow through the painting as we learned it in theory, so that the mistakes shine through. It becomes basically efficient learning experience, and then we cover what should be addressed, because, well, there are of course challenges on a class aspect. So we have like collective problems that we can address as a class, but then every individual faces different challenges, and so we are also aware of that, and we are always there to also guide the students on an individual level, as everyone has their own challenges, right? From perspective to colors, through brush efficiency, how to establish dynamic shots, how to see complex shapes in more simple forms, so that it can aid your overall learning curve, because seeing things easier will increase your working curve profoundly. Anyway, it really appears that we are running out of time. I would once again thank you for watching. Don't forget, that's right, to like and subscribe. More content is coming. Let us know in the comments what you would like to see next. And yeah, take care. You know, this will take care of itself. It's almost the end of the recording. Take care and bye. Bye.